We'll reconvene this meeting. We'll start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lishan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok in northern Yokut, the successors of the sovereign Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the MDUSD community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of MDUSD and broader Bay Area communities today. You may stand for the pledge.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we move to 6.3, review and potential approval of minutes for regular board meeting held September 25th, 2024.
Madam President, I move that we approve the minutes for a regular board meeting held September 25th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Okay, that's a motion by trustee Cowan and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move on to 6.4, review and potential approval of the agenda. Will there be any changes this evening?
No changes, Madam President.
Madam President, I make a motion that we approve the agenda as proposed.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to our report out of action taken in closed session. So for 7.1 negotiations, the board may discuss negotiations or provide direction to its representatives regarding represented employees. Government Code Section 54957.6. We received information. For 7.2, discipline, dismissal, release, or reassignment of public employee, Government Code Section 54957B1. In closed session and by a vote of 5-0, the board took action to approve the resignation of 2 employees per the separation agreements. For 7.3, which was conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, by a vote of 5-0 in the matter of student OA, the board approved the agreement up to the stipulated amount. For 7.4, and this is liability claims, Government Code 54956.95, name of claimant, Gilma Molina, name of agency against which the claim is made, Mount Diablo Unified School District. The board met in closed session and by a vote of 5-0, voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by Gilma Molina against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. For 7.5, liability claims, Government Code 54956.95, name of claimant Tony Molina, name of the agency in which the claim is made, Mount Diablo Unified School District. The board met in closed session and by a vote of 5-0, voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by Tony Molina against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. For item 7.6, liability claims, Government Code Section 54956.95. The name of the claimant is Angela Montez. The name of the agency against which the claim is made is Mount Diablo Unified School District. The board met in closed session and by a vote of 5-0, voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by Angela Montez against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. Item 7.7, liability claims, Government Code 54956.95, name of claimant Cadence Juarez. The name of the agency against which claim is made is Mount Diablo Unified School District. The board met in closed session and by a vote of 5-0 voted to reject a liability claim for damages pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95 by Cadence Juarez against the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And then for item 7.8, which is conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation. In the matter of one case of anticipated litigation, the board by a vote of 5-0 gave direction to the general counsel. And initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9 D4. In the matter of one case of anticipated litigation by a vote of 5-0, the board authorized the general counsel to initiate litigation. And then for 7.9, public employee performance evaluation superintendent pursuant to Government Code 54957, the board received information. And that concludes what we covered in closed session. So we move to public comment. This is the time when the public may address the board regarding any item that's not on the agenda. Public comment will also be allowed on each specific agenda item prior to board action thereon. And this is a time when we listen to people, but we aren't able to respond because these are items that have not been placed on the public agenda. Okay, looks like. 11. Okay. Do you think we should do 2 minutes or 3? Just 30 minutes. Yeah. We have kind of a lot of public comments and I want to make sure that we get to everyone. So I'm going to ask that I'm going to give you each 2 minutes to speak. And the timer will let you know, and we'll ask you to wrap up at that point. But we do want to hear from you. Okay, so we'll start with Rebecca Salayo.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board. We do also have some handouts for the board, which I think, thank you. My name is Rebecca Salau. We are parents and students from College Park High School. We are here to express our deep concern about the recent suspension of Coach Jim Keck and to share the many ways Coach Keck has educated and helped our students and community. I am the mother of a recent College Park graduate, Oliver Salau, and a current College Park student, Tilda Salau. My son, Oliver, is now at UC Berkeley. Every single one of his college applications was about Coach James Keck. And the ways Coach Keck inspired, educated him, and taught him to live intelligently. Oliver got in not only to UC Berkeley, but to every single UC to which he applied. Why? Because Coach Keck taught him discipline. He emphasized academics. He taught him to be on time and be prepared and to give his all. He taught him compassion and to not give up. Coach Keck also showed me what it is to build a community and a team and to truly give oneself to build something. As I think is demonstrated today, he really built ties among these kids, among the teachers, among his fellow coaches, and just worked tirelessly over many hours, days, and years to do that. He took sophomores returning from the COVID lockdown and built them into a varsity team that in their senior year went to North Coast sectionals. And they were also CIF All-State for academics. That's something that Coach Keck instilled in them. I saw him do it at rallies. I saw him do it at meetings. He focused on their grade point average. He motivated them to pay attention, not just to wrestling, not just to being strong, not just to sportsmanship, but to academics. He helped my son and the whole team, and we're supporting him because of what he has done for College Park High School and our community. He is a devoted coach and teacher who taught us all to strive for excellence and did so by example of his leadership.
Thank you for your comment.
And we believe Coach Keck should remain a valued and esteemed coach and employee at College Park High School. Thank you.
Okay. And if I mispronounce name, please correct me. Matt Zanfrello.
My name is Matt Sonfrillo. I've been a full-time wrestling coach at College Park for the past 8 years. I also wrestled at College Park from 2003 to 2007 under head coach Jim Keck. I now coach alongside the man that coached me. Wrestling coaches don't get paid much. Between the hours spent at practice and those spent at tournaments, I make about a third of what I'd make working at the McDonald's for the same hours. I've done the math. I'm not complaining about that number. I'm just explaining that we don't do this for the money. We do this to give back to something that gave us a lot. That's not just me. That's most of the coaches on our staff. We are mostly College Park alumni, and most of us have worked with Coach Jim Keck. I've also worked in the field of education for 9 years now. In that time, I have not met a single person more devoted to the students they work with than Coach Keck. He cares about every student that he comes into contact with. He knows how much potential they have, even when they don't, and he pushes them to discover that potential. He goes far beyond what is expected of an educator to offer help to those in need. I have some stories that I would share about that, but I understand I only have 2 minutes, so I'll save it to this one that really touches me. A personal friend of mine was a student of Coach Keck's. His home life was very difficult to begin with, but when he was diagnosed with schizophrenia in high school, he became suicidal. He told me that Coach Keck was the only teacher that noticed he was struggling. Coach Keck was the only teacher that pulled him aside, asked him what was bothering him. Coach Keck was the only teacher that heard him out, and it is the reason that he's alive today. He did not kill himself because he felt that there was an adult that cared about him. Again, I would go on, but I only have a couple minutes. It pains me to think that a man that has been so devoted to his students, who's poured his heart and his soul into his work as an educator and a coach, and a man that conducts himself in a way that I have always admired, could ever find himself in danger of losing his job. I think it would be a travesty to fire Coach Keck. It would be a disservice to the students and to one of our most successful sports programs at College Park. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment and your excellent timing. Anthony Northrup.
Good evening. I'm Anthony. I don't have a paper in front of me. I had started at 1 and I changed my mind. I'm not going to call him Coach Keck. I'm going to call him my mentor. Coach Keck, Mentor Keck. I have 3 sons. I have a freshman in college now. I have a senior and I have a sophomore. All 3 of them have had exposure to Mentor Keck. Jim teaches my boys about honor, sacrifice. He teaches them pride and teaches them courage. He teaches them how to be men in this world. He teaches them how to be respectful human beings in this world. I don't know what he did. People make mistakes. But I turn around and I look at this family back here. And this family is a small family. My 2 older ones aren't here today because Keck says students are first. It's a student athlete. And they both have a midterm at DVC this evening. Or they would be here to speak for him. My youngest is here. Despite having a test tomorrow, he wants to be here to show his support. As Matt just said, it would be a travesty to lose that type of honor, that type of reputation you have. I got the honor to meet him almost 4 years ago during COVID when he was trying to run wrestling on the 50-yard line at College Park in order to give these kids the opportunity to have engagement with human beings beyond a video screen. He looks for ways to encourage children to become contributing members of society. And again, look at these children here. These young adults here are here today because of a man who has contributed 25 years, 30 years to the education of children. Wrestling is secondary. PE, that's what he teaches most officially. But he teaches people how to be people. And to lose that, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Madeline Todd.
Good evening. My name is Maddie, and I'm a 10th grader and returning wrestler at CP. I'm here today to speak about and share my story of how Coach Keck has been a part of my and my friends' lives and touched all of our hearts. Starting wrestling was terrifying and unexpected for me. I was horrified, but from the moment I stepped onto the wrestling mat, Coach Keck has been nothing but welcoming and supportive. He treats the girl wrestlers in a way that is extremely encouraging and compassionate, while still pushing us to be determined and strive to be better in an irreplaceable way. I've learned so much from him in the few months, more than any other sport under any other coach. And amazingly, he makes the rigorous practices incredibly enjoyable, and I've been excited for the next season the moment our last season ended. One thing to note about me is my exercise-induced asthma. He has always supported and checked in on me, helping me when I'm struggling, and making sure I'm okay. Coach Keck is an extremely special and crucial member to the welfare of the program. Under his coaching and mentoring, girls wrestling has won their first DAL championship. That has not been done by our school, and he is very important. There was one day when I was wrestling and it was extremely smoky outside. I was starting to struggle with my asthma, and he helped me. He checked in on me. He asked me if I was okay. And when I did not have the strength in my lungs to continue wrestling, he made sure I was brought somewhere less smoky to wait out until it cleared. It was nothing that had ever happened to me before. And I've only known him for a few months, but he's like the best. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Deborah Evans.
Hi, I'm here to speak on the behalf of Jim Keck. I have a son that just graduated last year, and he has done so much for my son. My son, I was worried about him and where he was going to go in life, and just his motivation. He was struggling with mental health, with what he was going to do. And Jim completely turned him around. He is now in college. He's wrestling in college. He shows true leadership. A lot of other wrestlers look up to my son. I mean, if you looked at him 4 years ago to today, you wouldn't even think it's the same kid. I owe that to Jim. I know that he's done this for many, many, many kids, boys, girls. He brings families together. There's a lot of parents that struggle with their teens, and Jim can be that and has been that mediator between the parents and the kid. He goes way, way far beyond just being a coach and a teacher. He cares about his students. He cares about the families. And I just cannot imagine this school without him, without the community. It would be a huge disservice to everyone. He's put 33 years into this district, and for him to not be there with the boys today is shocking, and I feel upset about it. I feel that it's unwarranted, and I have a lot of questions that I know that you guys can't answer, but I just ask of you to please, whatever your process is, to get him back into the classroom, back with these kids, because they need him. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Kevin Cabagao.
Good evening, members of the board, administration, and the community. My name is Kevin Kabugao. I'm actually the husband of Deborah Evans, who is just over here. And as a product of the Vallejo School District, where growing up, it was really, really tough. Martial arts and the people who helped pull me together in that particular vein, if it wasn't for that, I don't even know where I'd be today. And when I see people like Coach Keck in the community, again, Deborah kind of touched upon the changes that he helped bring about with our son. I resonate with that, and that's why I'm here. That's why you see everybody else that's here too. He's dedicated decades of his life to not just shaping athletes, but for these young men and women, instilling them values of responsibility, discipline, and perseverance. His impact on our family and many others in this community cannot be overstated. And under his leadership, my son that Deborah was talking about learned the importance of character and facing adversity head on, and for striving in excellence, not just in sports, but in life, you know. And we recently heard troubling news about Coach Keck being reprimanded. And while I don't stand here to speculate on the details, what I do want to emphasize is just the importance of character. A true person's character is not revealed only in isolated moments, but in the way that they live their life and the impact that they have on those around them. You know, in difficult times, I just believe that it's essential just to look at the full measure of a person's character and the legacy that they leave behind. I'm not going to read this anymore. Just look, this is representative of just what, 4 years of Coach Keck's legacy. Could you imagine if all 30 years of the people that Coach Keck touched was here today? You'd need 5 of these rooms to encompass that. I just want you guys to reconsider. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comment. Mark Wheeler or Mark Weiler?
Thank you for giving us this platform in order to speak on behalf of Jim Keck. So my name is Mark Weiler. I'm a College Park alumni, class of '96. So I stand here with the 30 years of experience of having Coach Keck be in my life. My senior year, I was the only wrestler that qualified for the state meet, and my wrestling coach at the time was not allowed to coach me for that tournament for whatever reasons. A young, fresh out of college, Jim Keck stepped up and coached me in my corner. He didn't do it because he had to. He did it because that's just Jim Keck's character. That's what he does. That's what he does for his community. That's what he does for his kids. From then on, Coach Keck continued with his coaching career over at College Park. Today, Jim Keck is the backbone of College Park High School. He bleeds purple. He is a mentor and role model to hundreds of kids at College Park. Year after year, kids wait until they are eligible to take zero-period weights with Keck because they know what to expect when they take that class. They're going to get pushed and they're going to be challenged. So many kids take Keck's class, and leave with a love and appreciation for physical fitness. So often I hear from students that they have never been stronger and pleased with their physical appearance after taking Keck's weight class, my daughter being one of them. Keck is arguably the most successful coach in College Park history. After many successful seasons, Keck led the Falcons to their first ever North Coast Section Championship, and he did it back-to-back years. He has helped kids reach their goals in wrestling by becoming league champions, section champions, state champions, national champions, an 8-time world champion, and now an Olympic champion. Working with Keck, you just want to be better. He has this ability to spot talent and recruit these kids into the wrestling room and on the football field. Every year, he's coached the biggest teams in the school, with the wrestling team having up to 70 kids, boys and girls, participating. This year, we were expected to see up to 100 kids on the first day of wrestling practice. A lot of these kids are first-year wrestlers, not having a clue of what they were getting themselves in for. Some can be considered non-athletic and outcasts, but by the end of the season, most of these kids are walking around with confidence they have never had. Keck believed in them, and the kids believe in Keck. I can't think about entering the season without Jim Keck leading the charge. The Falcon Wrestling program is coming off of their 24th league championship and first ever girls league championship. The structure and organization Keck brings to this team is unmatched.
Thank you for your comment. Could you please just wrap up?
Yeah. In 2022, my daughter was a junior in College Park, and it was in Keck's zero-period class. He saw something in my kid and recruited her into the wrestling room. Fast forward to this year, my daughter is now at the collegiate level wrestling, and she has goals of being a national champion and one day being in the Olympics. Bring Keck back to school. The kids need him when we need him.
Thank you for your comment. Kyle Benlander.
I'm the head coach for Clayton Valley Wrestling, and I've known Jim Keck since he was at College Park as a student, and I was at Clayton Valley as a student. He's always been a man of honor, hard worker. As a coach, as an opposing coach, he's always treated me with respect. He's always treated everybody with respect. I wasn't originally going to speak here tonight, but I figured someone not in the College Park program talking about Jim, I think you need to get him back in the school. He is the face of College Park. He's been the face of College Park for years. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Oliver Salayo.
Hi, I'm a first-year college student at UC Berkeley, the son of Rebecca, just here who spoke initially. I didn't even know there was going to be a meeting tonight talking about anything about Coach Chick. The second I heard it, I knew that I had to be here because he just had such an impact on my life. He, at first year, when I was a freshman at high school, it was completely shut down. It was locked down. I didn't have any contact with anyone other than the club Discord servers with no. I don't think I ever even went outside for weeks at a time. I had no idea there was a wrestling program. So when I came as a sophomore, though there were many other seniors who did wrestle in their freshman year, as was said on the football field, I didn't know there was the opportunity to wrestle and engage in something. I'd never even played a sport before. I had never gone to a gym. I'd only ever gone to a few jujitsu practices on my bike with some of my friends casually once or twice a week. I realized then that that was my one opportunity. The opportunity that Coach Keck gave me was to engage in the high school life with sport and with other students that are now going to be lifelong friends. The other students here, most of the seniors who just graduated, we still hang out. We play D&D together every weekend, and we're playing it today and we're playing it tomorrow. He is the reason why I was able to get that community, and I was able to go into high school and leave it confident. If I didn't have wrestling, I don't know what else I'd have. I would be an outcast. I would never talk to anyone. I'd probably still be a shut-in. But I just want to say how much Coach Check has helped me as an inspiration, mostly, and helped me prioritize things in my life and learn discipline and hard work. And I think that's the same thing that can go with everyone else here.
Thank you for your comment. Maximilian Otero.
Good evening, members of the board and community. My name is Maximilian Otero, and I am a junior at College Park High School, and this is my third year wrestling with Coach Keck. I'm here to speak on behalf of Coach Keck, who has had a profound impact on my life and the lives of many others. I ask that you reconsider the decision to let him go, because Coach Keck is far more than a wrestling coach. He's a mentor, a motivator, and a role model. Coach Keck has taught me that success isn't just about winning on the mat, and he's constantly reminding me just to work as hard in the classroom as I do in the mat room. He's pushing me to excel academically and set high expectations for myself in all areas of life. Under his guidance, I've learned that being a student athlete means striving to be well-rounded and disciplined. Beyond school and sports, Coach Keck challenges me to become the best version of myself. He inspires me to live with integrity, reminding me that good things don't always come easy. And from him, I've learned that if I want something, I'm going to have to push really hard and never settle for shortcuts. He's also shown me the value of discomfort, because growth happens when you're willing to push yourself past your limits. Whether it's on the mat or in life, Coach's lesson is clear. The moments test you are the moments that make you stronger. He's taught me to embrace challenges, keep my chin up, and live with confidence. Coach Keck's influence extends far beyond wrestling. He shapes young boys like me into strong, resilient individuals who are prepared for life's difficulties. Removing someone who instills such vital lessons would be a huge loss for the school and our community. I hope that you can see that Coach Keck is more than a coach. He's a mentor whose lessons stay with us long after we leave the mat. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comment. Tony Rolandelli.
Good evening. I was a struggling student at College Park.
and I graduated in 2003. And the only reason I graduated was because of Jim Keck. My parents were divorced. My mom was in rehab. I was living in my car. I was a disaster back then. I didn't really care about school. And it was Jim Keck that motivated me and it got me going. He brought me into the school, the offices, figured out what credits I needed to graduate. He checked me into a night school. So I'd go from school to wrestling practice to night school. And I, ever since then, ever since I graduated, I pretty much give everything I have to that man because he gave me what I needed at the time. And I've been coaching by his side ever since. And when I heard about all this, I just couldn't believe it because the Jim I know couldn't have done anything wrong. He does everything by the book and he's a man of his word. And as you can see behind me by these people here, nothing but respect for that man. So thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comment. David Cummings?
Good evening. I'm David Cummings. Many of you know my wife, Noelle. She's very involved in the community. I'm not the public speaker she is, but I'm here to talk about Jim. I went to school with Jim. I've known him 40 years. The man is the epitome of integrity. And whatever, I've heard all the rumors, what could have been, what should have been, what happened, I don't know. But what I can tell you, in the 40 years I've known this man, he's done nothing but want to be a difference maker in people's lives. He has touched thousands, probably multi-thousands of people's lives. I go to dinner with him. He's talking about kids that he taught back in 2004, knows what they're doing, how many kids they have. Everyone comes back to him for years and years and years. He is creating the young youth into the young adults that we need in this world. And if you guys don't think that's what you need in an educator, or is that in a coach, that's something to reconsider why you're sitting there, because this man is, I mean, he could have been anything. His dad was a doctor, you know, I graduated with him. He had straight A's. He could have went anywhere he went. He decided he wanted to be an educator. We all know that doesn't pay the best. He could have made a lot more money than he did, but he wanted to give back. And that's what he's done since day one, and that's what he continues to do. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Yes.
We want to thank you all for coming out. I just want to let everyone know that the current administration at College Park is not involved in this investigation. This is being handled by our Human Resources Office and my office. So I just wanted to, if you have concerns, you can email me, clarka@mdsd.org. Thank you for coming.
Okay, so we move to communications, and I think that I maybe saw a speaker. Everyone, you're welcome to stay for the remainder of our agenda, but we won't be upset if you would rather not. We know it's a school night. Thank you for coming. Okay. Linda Ortega.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. I am here tonight to give you an update since my last report. Before the fall break, I met with the director of M&O, and since then I have not received any more updates on the thermostats and the various ranges of temperatures that our classrooms are experiencing. In some classrooms, it's too hot or it's too cold. Again, our teachers are unable to control or adjust their thermostats. As of today, there are 18 unresolved or unanswered adverse working condition forms that my members have submitted. We are waiting for a response from the director of M&O. I have received a copy of various teachers' desks, and these are my props, and I'm sorry they're tiny, but this is what I was able to download, where these are the for our 3 schools that are undergoing renovations. These 3 table desks were selected without any input from our teachers. Instead, our teachers will have to choose from these 3. So here's one. And it's kind of a wavy one, not sure. Here's a kind of a, I don't know, I know. And then there's this big oval one. So I'm happy to share these with you. Well, the concern is how are our teachers going to be using these? A concern that came up was they're on wheels. And if they're for little ones, you know, we move things with wheels. We don't want somebody's little toes or feet run over. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And finally, I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I am a member of CTA. I am a delegate of CTA, and I just want to share that CTA offers scholarships, grants, and awards for anyone who's looking into becoming a future teacher. And CTA offers a scholarship, especially for aspiring educators who are pursuing a career in education. We have all these scholarships. There's a Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Scholarship Program that I have been on the committee. This provides scholarships to encourage BIPOC students to become educators, school nurses, school counselors, and school therapists. We have a Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta Education Awards Program, also in recognition for educators and their students who demonstrate an understanding of the vision and guiding principles embraced by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta. And we have an LGBTQ plus safety in schools grant and scholarship program in honor of Guy La Rosa. So these scholarships are provided for our members and any aspiring student who would like to become an educator. And I just wanted to share my business card with you. If you know any students, reach out to me because CTA and I've been on these committees. We love to give scholarships away to students. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. We also have Kristen Defilios from DMA, Diablo Managers Association.
Good evening, President McPherson, Vice President Mayo, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Clark. On behalf of the over 200 members of the Diablo Managers Association, thank you for passing the resolution recognizing October 13th through 19th as the week of the school administrator. The term school administrator defines many educational leadership roles, including certificated and classified managers, both at school sites and within district departments. As educational leaders, we partner with students, teachers, staff members, families, and community members to ensure ongoing student achievement and school success. We thank the board for this recognition of the importance of strong and courageous leadership in our district, and we look forward to our continued work together on behalf of all students. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we move to recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark.
Yes, so I have resolution 24/25-26, and so I'm going to read a few lines from the resolution, and then I'm going to ask someone from the audience to come up and speak to it. So in support of Red Ribbon Week 2024, whereas since 1988, there has been an ongoing commitment to raise awareness of the killing and destruction caused by drugs in America. Whereas substance abuse is particularly damaging to one of our most valuable resources, our children. And whereas prevention education efforts by the Mount Diablo Unified School District and its community stakeholders demonstrate their commitment to drug-free lifestyles, no use of illegal drugs, no illegal use of legal drugs. And now therefore, the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby declares October 23rd through the 31st, 2024 as Red Ribbon Week and encourages its staff and students to participate in drug prevention education activities, making a visible statement that we are strongly committed to a drug-free community. And be it further resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District urges its students, parents, guardians, teachers, administrators, and employees to pledge ongoing support of the 2024 Red Ribbon Week theme, which is Life is a Movie, Film Drug-Free. I would like to leave this in the hands of the board. I thought I had someone to speak, but I clearly was wrong.
Any comments or a motion?
Oh, do you want to show off your wristbands that you all received this evening and pencils? Yes. All right. We can thank Linda Pete for that.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay.
Thank
Miss
you.
Pete.
Yes.
I move that we approve resolution 2425-26. That's funny. What a coincidence. In support of Red Ribbon Week 2024.
I'll second that.
From trustee Nzewi and a second from trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Our next resolution is resolution 24/25-27, and that is to authorize local assignment options at code 44258.2. You want to do it, or? All right. We're going to have Mr. Sheehy do that from Human Resources.
The local assignment option allows the board to authorize the employees holding a single subject or a standard secondary teaching credential to teach with his or her consent any subject in a departmentalized class below grade 9 that the teacher has completed 12 semester or 6 upper division units. So with that, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I would move to approve resolution 24/25-27, local assignment options, EC 44258.2.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Great. Our next item is resolution 24/25-28 to authorize local assignment options at code 44256B. And we're going to have Mr. Sheehy present this one as well.
And this allows the board to authorize and assign an employee holding a multiple subject or a standard elementary credential to teach with his or her consent any subject in a departmentalized class below grade 9. And so for this, we have 3 teachers.
Madam President, I move to approve resolution 2425-28, local assignment options EC 44256B.
Second.
Motion by trustee Count and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So that should move us to board member reports. I always try to remember where I started last meeting and I can never remember. Oh, great, a volunteer. Thank you, trustee Mayo.
My report will be very short tonight. I just would like to announce that on October 17th, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. at Silverwood Elementary School, the Silverwood Elementary School PTA is holding a candidate forum for the Area 5 election. And so it will be a trustee forum for the trustee candidates to participate in. And although many of you listening and here tonight may not reside in Area 5 and be voting in Area 5, we have to remember that every board member is elected to represent all students in the district once they sit at this dais. So it's important to understand what our candidates' viewpoints are and to encourage and inform others to get out and vote. So please consider attending this meeting October 17th at 6 p.m. at Silverwood. Thank you.
Trustee Mason, do you have a report this evening?
A brief one because we had a little vacation in there. Prior to that, I went to Ignatia Valley High School and watched the girls volleyball team. They were very exciting. They didn't win, but they were very exciting. I went to the parent conference that we had. It seems like that was so long ago, but I think we haven't met since. And was not as well as attended as the ones in the past, but the sessions were really good. I went and kind of monitored several of them, and they were really, really good sessions. A lot of them with our employees leading them. I went to Gregory Gardens for the, I guess, Special Olympic event that they have every year, which is really fun to watch. The kids were so engaged, and they were so excited about the different activities that they were able to participate in. I did a drop-in at Riverview just to see how things were going there. All kids seemed to be in class and things were quiet. And then today I went to Concord High School for the trade fair that they have. That first time we had a little bit of sprinkles while we had the trade. It's usually hot out there. It was a little damp, but the kids all seemed to be enjoying themselves. And there were many career opportunities for them to explore. And I thank you, Dr. Fontenelle, for that. And that's my report.
Trustee Nzewi, do you have a report this evening?
Not really, but the fall break was kind of cool. And as a parent who I still work, so it wasn't a break for me, but it was a break from getting up to go to school. And I bet you a lot of people, despite all the other challenges that having these random days off brings to families and childcare and whatnot, that was a nice little break. I can't wait to hear what people thought about it, because I'm sure we will ask what all of our constituencies thought about it, so we know what to do. To Trustee Mayo's point, I was excited to get my ballot in the mail last week, I think it was. So I was just like, 1, you got your ballots. 2, you can return it anytime. You don't have to wait until November 5th. Encourage everyone to vote, and to vote the entire ballot. Because especially our local elections, like there's the biggie, but our local elections really are the impacts that we feel daily and most close. And I believe we can still register to vote until next week in California. I can't remember the date. You know, it's the 20th. It's something, but this week is not the 20th. So I know we have until next week. And so I would especially encourage, and for if there's any of our educators are watching, anyone who works with our students who might there's some 18-year-old seniors, to ensure that that they're registered and encourage everyone to vote.
Thank you. Yes, on the calendar topic, I'm definitely curious to hear how people felt about the fall break. I'm hoping that we can, as a board and a district, eventually get back to the point where we are planning our years 2 years ahead, so that people can make plans a year out without wondering what our calendar is going to be. But I know we do need feedback on the fall break before we know what we're going to do next year, since this was a test. I did also attend our State School Boards Association Zoom webinar. It was called Before the Adoption, Creating the Conditions for a High Quality Mathematics Program. I believe it was recorded and will be shared. But it was wonderful to see that CCEE that we work with is one of the key partners, along with the Cal Mathematics Project, Cal Math Council, and Cal MSCS, which is Math, Science, and Computer Science, all coming together to really try to figure this out for us as a state. How are we going to achieve excellence in math teaching and learning through curriculum and grounded in research reflective of best practices across the globe. So the timeline is that the state curriculum adoption will not be complete until November of 2025. But kind of the takeaway from this workshop was that we as school boards and districts need to get started this year in terms of making sure that we're laying the groundwork and that people understand what this framework is, what kind of mindsets we're looking for, that we really want to be figuring out how can we best support our educators to really move into that space where all of our students are going to not just be checking the box that they learned how to do, X, Y, and Z sort of methodology, but that they really have a deep understanding and that they really have project-based challenges that bring them to the point of that deep level of understanding and hopefully pursuing STEM careers. And so I just wanted to point out that also in the framework, which it does exist, was adopted last year, there's also a section of vignettes. And this is something that our teachers probably already know about, because I know we've been working with our teachers and with CCEE. So, but I was excited to see that there's these sample project-based lessons all at different grade levels and subject areas. And that they also talked about what does our high school pathway look like? And so I hope as we go forward that we'll continue to have these discussions here at the board level as well, to be able to hear what's happening on the ground in our school sites in terms of thinking that through. Where are we in terms of our what we think the course offerings should be going forward? What will those pathways be? And how will they be integrated and offered to where students can make many different choices about what their math pathway is. So that was exciting. And then I just wanted to mention one upcoming thing that is the Summit for Student Leaders. And it's a virtual summit for students from all over California. And it's going to be on October 20th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's free. And you just go to childrennow.org. And look for the Student Leadership Summit. So it's really trying to bring students together and make sure that their voices are heard. So that's a great option for our students. Thanks.
Today, I attended an event at Concord High School focused on career explorations. Many schools were given the opportunity to learn about different career paths available to students. During the event, I had the chance to explore a range of career options, and I found several programs very interesting, including Yahoo Tech, a trading school, the Academy of Arts, and a nursing program. Additionally, there were several interactive activities such as operating an excavator, which many students enjoyed, as well as the opportunity to tour an ambulance. Looking ahead, I will be hosting a student focus group at Northgate High School on Friday. I am excited to learn more about the experiences and opportunities they provide for their students. Finally, I would like to follow up on my previous report regarding the winners from our Back to School Night resource fair. Ms. Ryan and the Wellness Center both won our competition. Ms. Ryan had a display of great student work, and the Wellness Center is always a cool place.
I set myself up to follow you. You always have an excellent report. So thank you. Thank you for being so well prepared. Okay, so I will share that I looked it up, and the last day to register to vote is 15 days before the election. So that'll be October 21st. So if you haven't registered to vote, please do that. And then I'll just share that I went to the CAC meeting last night, which was right here. And there are some really exciting events in the works. And so those include next week on the 21st, the same day as the last day to register to vote, there's going to be an Experience Dyslexia event. I didn't write down the location. I will say that the CAC maintains a really good Facebook page, and so there's a lot of good information there. There's going to be the You Make a Difference Awards on October 21st from 6 to 8 at Concord High PM, of course. And then there's going to be a holiday party. I do want you to know that everyone is welcome at the holiday party. It's been a lot of fun. It was really well attended last year. That will be on December 17th at Monty Gardens, just right next door. And then that's all I have to share this evening. Dr. Clark.
Thank you so much. I just before I jump into this data, I'm going to share some of our local assessments that we've done here in the district. I did during the break on October 10th. Our CAF scores, our statewide testing scores, were finally released by the state, and so I did send a link and a brief summary to every family and every employee in the district. And I hope that that if families have questions, that they'll come and speak to individuals at their school, whether it be their principal or their teacher. But I really want our families to look at our data, look at the data at their schools, look at the data and how it represents the group of students that their students fall into, and I would like to continue to have conversations around how our students are performing academically. So wanted to put that out there. Included in our LCAP, our goal here in the Mount Diablo District is to prepare our students for college and career. We talk a great deal about college, and college is important, and we do want all of our students who want to go to college to be eligible and to have that opportunity, but also we want to prepare our students for career. And so I really want to thank the organizers of the fair today over at Concord High School. Had an opportunity. It's one of many, but it's one of the those events that you just have to attend, and just seeing the interaction, seeing the excitement of our young people, to see the possibilities there, and also our community folks who come out to host those tables, and to hear some of the stories that they have for our students about when they were in school and what they wanted to do and how they got into a particular trade. So I talked with the Concord Police Department, who had a booth there. They're always looking to recruit locals who can come and give back to the community. That's one of the ways that you improve community and police relations, is having local police officers who understand the community and can interact and relate to the community. I also was at our own table with our adult school, and they have a dental hygiene program that they have a 100% hire rate out of. There is a shortage of dental hygienists out there, and our program is that they have to turn folks away because so many people are applying for it, and so wanted to highlight that. Also, you had companies like PG&E there. We had our local trade unions there, and just very thankful. I did see Trustee Ochoa at the fair, and we talked for a couple minutes, and she was gathering information, and just always happy to see that. While I was at Concord High School, I ventured off a little bit, and I got a lovely tour of their wellness center, and there were two behaviorists in there who kind of just shared with me what they do. There were 4 students in there that were all very engaging, and were just, for different reasons, just taking a time out of the day and spending a few minutes in there doing just multiple things. One student was just sitting and kind of just, I guess, pondering. Another student was reading a book. Another student was speaking with one of the behaviorists. But it was just a very, very warm feeling in there, with all kinds of diversity in seating. I guess they've done some research there, but students have multiple places where they can sit and get the support they need, and then head back to class or go ahead into whatever it is that they have going on. But was extremely pleased to see that. So I didn't wander off too far. I got back on track and went back to the fair. So I do want to share our social emotional learning survey with you. We started giving these back in the pandemic, just to really get a litmus test of where our students were in terms of social emotional learning. We know that there's competencies to social emotional learning, things like controlling one's emotions. And I'll go over a couple of those. But with all of our data, we break it down as the state requires us to, by ethnic groups, and then by our different student groups. So I'm not going to go over all these, but I just want to read the groups. We have our overall data, and then we have our Black African American students data. We have our American Indian and Alaskan Native, Asian, Hispanic Latino, Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander, our white students, our 2 or more races. So those are how the state requires us to group our students in terms of race and ethnicity. Then we break into our what we call student programs. So we have students who are from socioeconomically disadvantaged homes. So that means that they come from households where their parents make a certain amount of money. And so we break out that data. We show our data of our English learners, and then we show our data of our foster youth. And then McKinney-Vento would be students who are who qualify as homeless students. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're not living in a home, but it means that they don't have a home of their own or an apartment of their own. So that's how our data is broken up, and you can see how all of those groups do in how they all performed in elementary. Then as you go on, and just so anyone watching at home, these will be posted on the where are they posted, Laura, on the agenda or the superintendent's page or the both? So we post them all. You can find them if you're looking for them. You can find them on the superintendent's page. You can also find them on the board agenda page. So if you want to dig into them a little deeper, you can. But again, here goes the same as this, but it's just in a different format where it really goes down to the numbers. But here's basically the summary. 89% of our elementary students reported a mid to high social emotional learning reporting level. So as 89%, it's still 11%, did not report that. But by demographics, if you look, the number that we want all of our demographics to hit is right around 89%. And so you can see where that varies. Looking at the extremes, we have our American Indian, Alaskan, Native Alaskans up at 100%, and we have our Black African American at the bottom at 84%. Then as we go over to programs, we have our socially economically disadvantaged at 89%, and then at a low level, we have our homeless students at 68%. And then as we go to middle school, and I'll go to the summary, 88% of middle school students reported. And then when we break it down to demographics, looking at the extremes, we have our white students at 93%, so they're above the district-wide number, and our American Indian and Alaskan students at 66%. When we go over to programs, none of our students in the programs hit the district goal of 88%, and so socioeconomically disadvantaged is at 85, and our special education population are coming in at 79%. As we go to high school, it's still at 88%. So we're at the beginning of the year, so things seem to be a little higher. I don't know, maybe from my high school folks, as we get into finals and things like that, or springtime, maybe it'll tap off a little bit, but this is good data to know. And you can see, so 88% is kind of the target area, and you can see we have a group there at 100%, and then we have a group that at low at 75%. And going over to programs, we have a foster youth is at 100%, and McKinney-Vento is at 72%. So I know, and I'm going to go on a little bit, but this is a local assessment. And so the reason why this assessment is important, because when we take our state tests, we take the state test starting in April, and the window is open until June, basically. So that was, that's a window, and that was last school year. I just shared that I posted the data on October 10th. So that data is really is months old, and those kids have, those students have, moved on to new schools or new classrooms, new grade levels. And so it's really hard. So we do this local assessment to give our educators real-time data. This is not data for me as the superintendent, but it really should be being utilized in the classroom, at the school level, department level, different grade levels, different individuals who are working with these student groups. They're the ones who really should be using this data. And again, I'm not going to go through all of these, but if we look at, you know, our TK to 1 students, the highest percentage of students in the mid to high levels for relationship skills. So our young people are very relational, and their lowest is for that self-management and self-awareness. So if we have any, you know, people who work with very, very young students, they are very, you know, they just are who they are. They act, right? And then as they get a little older, the highest percentage is for self-management, which is lower for the TKer ones, but also the low area is that self-awareness. Then as we go to secondary, their highest area that they're most confident in is social awareness. They are very aware of their surroundings and where they, you know, where they fit in there. And their lowest is relationship skills. So that's, I think that is good information to have. You know, and so I'm not gonna go through all the maybe I'll just flash up because the young students always say extremely cute things. But so we have the highest percent of students agreed with the following statement. So do you agree with this? When I have a problem, I know that there is an adult at school who can help me, right? So that's good. We want, I hope, 100% there, right? Or I make safe and healthy choices for my body. That's great that it's coming, that they're starting off that way. I know our students are utilizing the salad bar. Hopefully they're getting their exercise, and hopefully they're getting lots of sleep. And I can ask for help for myself or a friend. So if we could just freeze this in time and just like keep our young people in this area, but we all know reality kicks in. So again, this is available for folks to check out, and maybe just on the opposite end of the spectrum, we'll look at high school. The highest percentage of students agreed with the following: I am respectful of the others. We really appreciate that. For our secondary teachers to do things like a 5-minute circle time in the morning just to check in with students, or, you know, some of our schools have advisory periods, or some of our, you know, there's opportunities just to really check in with that. That really helps build those skills. And then I get along and accept people who are different from me. Another great, you know, great skill that our young people have. And then when someone wants me to break the rules, I can say no. So that's good. And I guess just to go the opposite, let's see what our high school. I know I have some secondary teachers in the audience. They may agree or disagree with some of this, but the least percent of students agreed with the following statement: I feel like people understand my ideas when I share them. So, you know, I don't know if that's student to teacher or if that's just in general, but yeah, they want to share ideas, and they're not feeling that people understand their ideas. I wait until the last minute to get my work done. I think, you know, I'm guilty of that, so I agree with that.
This says that they don't agree with that, so they're not procrastinators.
And then I know when someone needs help. So I think this is something that I think would be concerning to me if I were a high school administrator, high school teacher, middle school administrator, counselor. Like, okay, maybe this is something we need to look at. So anyway, just great job in these SEL surveys. I think they're just little quick snapshots in time. I have another presentation. Mario's gonna hop in the next one. The next one is our beginning of the year early literacy results. So again, this is just going to concentrate on our little people. So we have participation. Students in kindergarten through 2nd grade will take the DIBELS, which DIBELS is a cute name. I like that name, but it does stand for, and I cannot be tested on this, but Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills Assessment. And the purpose is to measure and monitor the development of early literacy and early reading skills, and to provide instructionally relevant data on students. So again, do you have students who maybe they're identifying words and identifying letters and sounds, but maybe they struggle in blends or things of that nature. So these are the things, again, not for me to sit in my office and look at, really the educators who are out there with our students to look at. Screener, used regularly to detect risk for reading disabilities, including dyslexia, and in parentheses, additional measures will be used to improve the validity as a dyslexia screener. So the point that we have DIBELS is a good thing. And then performance results display how students are doing in relation to a benchmark at that time of year. So this gives us real-time data on how our youngest readers are progressing. Again, it's broken down in all ethnic groups and programs. And then you can break that down and look at the actual numbers of students who took the exam. This was extremely disappointing for me because it says, 85% of our kindergarten through grade 2 completed the DIBELS literacy assessment. So that means 15% of the students never even got the opportunity to take the test. So that's disappointing. It really should be 100%. If this, I don't know what measurement they're using to know where students are, but I would like this number to be 100%. And I know when I met with my principals last time, I, really set the expectation high to work with the individuals who weren't providing the assessments, to give them the support they needed. And we really need to get this to be 100% because there's 15% of our students who are not being assessed on this test. Not surprisingly, but overall performance, these are, again, this is kindergarten through second grade. In the state testing, we started at third grade. So none of these students take the state test. But if you look at the overall performance, 45% of students were meeting or above benchmark standards. So if we compare that to our state level test, does anyone remember the number of percentage of students who were at or above grade level on the state level test? Anybody? Ray can't answer the question. Well, for anyone who wants to know, it was 47%. And it was 47% last year, and it was 47% the year before. There's some decimal numbers in there and things, but that's around where we are. So it's actually very it's right there. So I'd like to see us go higher than 47% and I'd like to see this go higher than 45%. In speaking with the board earlier in closed session, as we were working on my goals, I know I set a very aggressive number and percentage that we would grow. And so that is what I'm going to hold myself accountable for, but I'm not in the classes every day teaching this, or I'm not at schools. I'm down here at Dent, but I'm going to hold myself to that high expectation. So as you see, we have 45% were meeting or above, 17% were near the benchmark standard, and 38% of the students were below the benchmark standard. So again, we would expect that this is where differentiation takes place. This is where students are broken into groups. This is where teachers can really give that, very direct instruction on the literacy instruction. And we are, hats off to all of our educators who are going through the science of reading training, things of that nature. We want to continue to provide support in this area because this is something that's important to the foundation of our students academically. And then as we go over to our focal scholars, which is part of our LCAP, but just I'll read this through. Black African-American students, foster youth, McKinney-Vento, which is homeless, students with disabilities, and multilingual students all display larger distributions of students performing below benchmark standard by as much as 9 to 44% compared to the overall students, and smaller distributions of students near met and above benchmark standards. So if you take our focal scholars and compare them to that 45%, they're falling way below that. And to be 44% lower than 45%, we do have student groups who are at zero when it comes to meeting or above benchmark standards. And that's why there's so much urgency in my voice when I talk about these things, or when, I demand excellence at our schools from our administrators. This is why. So that's our early literacy report. At the next meeting and meetings as we go on, I will be sharing our CAFS data on our state testing and breaking that down in similar fashions on how our students did. But this will be posted on our website so all can see. And we have lots of work to do, but excited to roll our sleeves up and to do this work and to make sure that our students are getting everything they need. Any questions?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for providing this information and to keeping the focus on literacy and on our efforts. I think this is a great starting point for us, over the course of the year to see how we do in improving. One thing I just thought of that I would love to see at a future board meeting perhaps is can we shine a light on those areas in our district where they are working, say, with our focal scholars and they're seeing something that is working really, really well, and they can come and talk to us about what that looks like, what kind of supports are in place, what kind of materials, what kind of professional development, to give us a picture of, because I know that's true in a lot of ways in our district, where we have these sort of bright lights in different places that maybe other areas and other schools can learn from as well. So I'd love to hear those stories.
Right. Any other questions? Great. That I just want to officially welcome everyone back from break. We will be putting out a survey in the Friday letter this Friday. So hopefully, and that'll go to all staff, all parents. Most importantly, does it go to students? Well, students don't get the Friday letter, but we'll be surveying students. Want to hear from them. I know President McFerrin, you answered a student reporter the other day, and I've had conversations with reporters from that school, and they, even though they're in middle school, they ask really good questions. So yes, they do. Yes. So anyway, just want to welcome everyone back, and I know that break came at a good time, and hopefully we're refreshed and ready to make this final push into winter. I don't know if the weather changes. We got a little change today with some rain. So, and I do just want to recognize we have some aspiring administrators in the audience. Must be a class assignment. I got one up front here and I got 3 in the back. So you sit in the front row, that's a good thing. You sit in the back, that's something else. No, I'm joking. Yeah. So just want to welcome the new faces here in the crowd. So anyway, that concludes my report. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. So we move to the consent agenda. So we can, these could all potentially be approved in one motion. Are there any agenda items that anyone would like to pull for discussion? And if not, we can take a motion.
I move that we approve the items listed under consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to our business action items. So 16.1, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association, CSBA recommendations, March 2024 quarterly update. These are coming back. These were presented in an earlier meeting.
Yeah, this is a second read.
I move. Am I on the right? Oh, yeah, okay. My screen hadn't moved, but now it has. I move that we approve changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations, March 2024 quarterly update.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Count. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. 16.2 is also a second read. It's review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association CSBA recommendations, June 2024 quarterly update.
Madam President, I move the board approve the changes to board policies under items 16.2 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Mayo and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to 16.3, also a second read, similar item, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations for California School Board Association, CSBA, recommendations July 2024, special update.
Madam President, I move to approve the changes to board policies and administrative regulations as presented in item 16.3.
Second.
Motion by trustee Count and a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
I think our computer's frozen.
Yeah, mine's moving, but there's definitely some lag. Okay. Yep. All right, here we go. Motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to 16.4, review and potential approval of minor changes to board policy 13612.1, 1312.2, 6153, and administrative regulations, AR 1313.1, 3311, and 5112.2. And there was an added time frame for appeals to remain consistent. That was the minor change.
This was a very minor change, but I appreciate the attention to detail. So I move to approve changes to board policies and administrative regulations in item 16.4 as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Count and the second by trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Apologies, my screen is showing an error.
Mine as well. It's glitching a little bit. Okay, so that we'll vote when we can. There's just kind of a moment where we're waiting for on our devices to
In the
behave.
meantime, I do want to just once again thank all of our staff for their hard work on these detailed policies. It is really, I know it feels like a lot of work and a lot of detail, but it really does provide the groundwork for, all of our policies district-wide to always be able to refer to and to align with all the latest state laws. So for the public to understand, you can always click on our policies on the website and whether you're at a school site or the district level. So it is important work. Thank you.
Yeah. There's some voting results up, but they're not from this current one. We haven't been able to vote yet. Yes, absolutely. Trustee Ocho, you already voted, right? Voted yes. Okay. Trustee Count?
Yes.
Trustee Nzewi?
Yes.
Trustee Mayo?
Yes.
Trustee Mason?
Yes.
And I also vote yes. So that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Yes.
All right. Should we move on then? Yes. Okay, great. Okay, so we have no carryover items this time. And then, do we have any future agenda items?
I do actually. I think, we as we talk about our goals for the year, I appreciate the focus on reading, and also, as I mentioned before, very interested in how we're laying the groundwork for our math framework. But I also wanted to mention another possible future topic. I think I may have mentioned before that on September 9th, there was a presentation at the Lafayette City Council by the Segurite Land Trust. And this is the first Indigenous women-led land trust in the nation, based here in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so a possible future topic would be to have them present either at our November or December board meeting, or possibly another appropriate venue in honor of Native American Heritage Month. Just a little background on them. Karina Gold is one of the founder directors of the group, and she is the tribal spokesperson for the Confederated Villages of Liz John. I was just really impressed with the presentation that she gave to the city council on September 9th in Lafayette, sharing about local history as well as current efforts to preserve land, language, and culture in spaces to be enjoyed by all. And that's available to the public. It's recorded if you want to take a look. The reason I'm thinking about this is that, in honor of Native American Heritage Month, but really so that our educators and students are aware of not only how Indigenous people, should be learned about in history, but also about how they're really an important part of our current and future communities and culture. So I just wanted to bring that up as a possibility and see if there's interest from the rest of the board potentially as well.
I was able to view that presentation as well, and I thought it was excellent and really interesting, and I'd be glad to see them here. If we could get them to come speak.
Also pending their availability, yes.
All right, we'll adjourn this meeting. Good night.